Tessian's not quite sure how to take that. He's just like, well, why me?
Because of your position within the family, because I could never send Amalia and then have her be interested in a journey so dangerous, you know she would take the opportunity if it were offered.
It's true.
And because Tara has her duties here now, can't really spend time gallivanting across the countryside. So given your stature and the fact that you're not next in line for the throne, it seemed like you were the best positioned. You've always been magically gifted. I thought you could help fend for yourself. Perhaps you could find yourself to be useful. And if I'm being completely honest, I thought maybe it would be a way to ingratiate yourself to somebody important to the Sowenwood. If our initial overtures were rebuffed, I thought perhaps a successful conatus might be another way to bridge the gap between our cities of a sort. It was a bit of a risk, but a calculated one.
So then knowledge of the conatus is... that you were aware of it then?
I was, yes. No one has made it this far in the journey since before the War of the Kraken. The other groups have either given up or had misfortune befall them before this point. From what I understand and the information that was given to me, the last person to make it through was Aurelia. And she managed to complete the whole thing. Ever since then, any subsequent journeys have failed before they've even reached this point. So for what must be at least 3 centuries now, no one has had to try to tackle this particular shrine.
Well, that is interesting, I must admit. And Tessian just sort of
Isaac
looks at
is
Lena.
just smiling. He finds this all very amusing, but he's not going to say anything.
Well,
He's very pleased.
Tessian looks at Lena and is just sort of like, well, this is news to me. But he's like, well, then do you know of anything else that might assist us, Mother? I was hoping that we could catch up with Angeline and discuss, anything she knew of the Cryptwood. But do you know anything of Aurelia's journey? Anything of the sort that might aid us? Or has it been sparse information?
She kind of gives a pointed look in Lena's direction. She says, I would be remiss if I didn't say that it was your grandmother that I spoke to for some additional information on the subject. Didn't want to send my son out into the world on a dangerous journey without at least a bit more information, but as a result, I also know there's not too much I should be sharing with you. I, at the very least, can give you some information on where you should be headed, but as you know, passing these trials is sort of part of the journey to begin with, and she was pretty tight-lipped about any future stops. She provided me information about the one here, just out of fairness to me, and I didn't want to pry too much further, but I do know that you are nearing the end of this journey. Having come this far, you are past the halfway point. I could arrange to have... She's kind of thinking, still drumming her fingers on the arm of the throne. We could have a meal tonight, I suppose. There is some details that I think will be of interest to you in particular, Tessian. There are some bits of information that you should know before you head down to this particular location, because some things have changed and it's not going to be easy to get there.
Okay, yes.
Do you know in particular where your sense was sending you as far as the next location?
Do I know anything beyond just the general forest area?
It seemed to be in the Cryptwood. As far as specifics, no, because you did have a good check, but you were making it from across the continent, so it's not like it's this tree.
Right. Okay.
But it was pretty. You can say with pretty high confidence that it was somewhere in an area of the cryptwood.
Yeah. Well, I did have a fairly strong pull towards the cryptowood, the direction of the cryptwood. I would likely need to meditate again if I wanted to get a stronger indication of the specific spot, but I do believe it is there, based on the vision.
I guess the question, Tessian, will be, in that last correspondence, did you, because it was just a few days ago you wrote the letter, did you impress upon her the time factor here? Basically, does she know that you're in a rush, or is that not something that's come up yet? Since I didn't actually get a letter, I don't know what's in it.
Right, exactly.
I don't know what kind of, like the general gist, but...
I mean, it probably would have been something vague along the lines of like, not like, oh my gosh, we have to do it really quick, but like, there are certain things that must be done as soon as possible. If we can try to get ahead, because I mean, like, I'm sure he's told her about some of the nonsense that's been happening with the Drydens and whatnot, and like. And he's not going to just be like, yeah, there's another world and evil people. Like, maybe not all of that, just like in a letter.
Right.
But like, definitely like, there's certain concerns that have popped up that, might threaten Aramea. And we need to make sure that we are acting, as quickly as possible to help resolve them, something like that. It's probably been vague, but there is probably at least some idea that there's there's a bit of a time constraint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then she'll say, well, I think we should have a lovely meal to celebrate how far you've come, to new relationships, and as a thank you for your help with my son as well, I can use that time to contact your sister to see if she can join us, and then she can provide more information about the cryptwood and what she's encountered there. I am sure that Amalia will insist on poking her head out and joining us as well. She'll have a million questions for you. She has found the details of the letters to be unsatisfactory.
Of course.
Of course, nothing short of a complete, minute detail accounting of what you'd been through would have been acceptable, so just be prepared for dozens of questions.
Of course.
In the meantime, perhaps Tessian could show you about the city, and perhaps before the meal you could take that time to, you said you meditate of sorts?
Yes.
You could use that to get a better sense of where exactly this might be, because I can send you to a starting point, but from there, where you may be headed is a bit unclear to me, although I have a suspicion. But I also know that if it's where I think, and we will speak on this tonight, having an extra idea of where it could be hidden will be useful to you. Regardless of where exactly it is, the path to get there will be a confusing one. Easy to get lost.
Well, Tiziano kind of looked to Lena, and he's like, "So, do you need some place to meditate, Lena? Is there will any room do, or
Yes. Yes, any room is fine. Just preferably one where it's quiet and I can concentrate. That will be all that's needed."
Well, we can easily set aside some chambers for you and your fellow companions. Tessian, you can sleep in your own bed for the first time in a while. Unless you'd prefer to have something nearer to them.
I think it might be good to be back in the old room. But yes, I suppose we have a great many things to get to, Mother. As much as I'd love to relax a bit, I guess I am here on business. And as much as it's been great to see you again, I guess we should get going. We have things to do.
And we can catch up over dinner as well. I have some additional questions for you, and you may have more questions for me. Only seems fair. Then very well. I'll make the arrangements. Come back here before sunset. You can regale me with stories, and we'll show you the finest meal that Black Harbor has to offer.
Then I guess Tessian will give a bow, and we'll head out, you know? I mean, I guess unless other people got things, but...
I'm good. I'm just going to follow your lead.
So let's see here. We'll probably need to check in with like one of the, I don't know what you call them, like the house servant people, like about which rooms are being given to you guys. I mean, I could just bust in and be like, "This is your room, and this is your room," but like they should at least know.
On the way out, I'm gonna say, imagine my surprise that Tessian Black is just as manipulated and out of the know as we are. I feel like I know you so much better now, Tessian.
Isaac, look, I understand that you have your qualms about how things are run, but I think in this case it's simply a matter of the Conatus itself, not so much my family.
I'm just surprised that you don't have more of a beef with it. This is your family, after all. They have no issue keeping secrets from you for really no reason at all.
Well, I guess I just disagree. I mean, if anything, I'd be mad at Lena's grandmother. I mean, she knew all of this stuff. She's the one that informed my own mother. So if she didn't tell us, then she must have her reasons, yes?
I would imagine so. It seems like there may have been knowledge about what I was and what I was meant to do well before I found out.
It just seems like you can't trust nobility in general. I think that's the lesson to take away from here, and my family's no exception. So far be it from me to cast stones at these numerous glass houses. I'm just simply observing.
Well, as much as I hate to agree with you, Isaac, I think I might just extend it to everyone. You can never really be sure about anyone these days.
I think that's fine.
Well, I suppose I should get you all to your rooms. Lena will need to give you time to meditate. I'm not sure if there's any place else quieter that might help. I suppose you could meditate in the library if you wanted to. I guess if you didn't mind noise, there is the aviary, if you wanted a bit more nature around. But
An aviary?
no, we do keep a sizable number of messenger proto-drakes, or little pseudo-dragons and such.
My eyes light up.
But I don't know if that would be too noisy. You usually meditate in the room, but...
Usually, yes, but I could try it up there, just to change the pace, get some nature. And if it doesn't work, I can always try again in my room, but I would love to see the aviary.
And I suppose if there's any place in the city, anything you all are looking for, I could always try to give you something of a tour before dinner tonight. I don't know how long you'll need to meditate, Lena, but if we want to do anything in the meantime or before or after.
What time is it now?
It's like
Yeah.
morning.
It's morning.
We probably
so-
lost like an hour from the time
Yeah.
zone or something, but
So we're having dinner.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll try meditating first, and then whether or not I succeed, then I can look at the aviary and take a tour of the city. Get a sense of where you grew up. And yeah, we can just start there, I guess.
Okay. So Tessian will just coordinate with the proper people, make sure that the rooms are all set up. Then I guess we wait for Lena to meditate, unless y'all want to do something else in the meantime.
Yeah, I can give you
Can
a
I
chance
just
to do
go to
something
the
else.
store?
I mean, you will need to. The answer is yes, but you would have to be escorted down.
Can I be escorted down,
And you could.
please? Okay.
Yeah. Tessian can do that. You can't just leave the keep. Like,
How do I get back on my own?
so, like, there's, like, there's an elevator that'll go down,
Okay.
but like you would need to. I mean, you're gonna have to talk to the guards and have them bring you down and stuff like
But
that.
when I get back, is it just like, hey,
they would
it's me.
presumably
They know
recognize
me?
you and they
Okay,
let you
cool.
back go.
Excellent.
But like Tessie will have to show you how to get there, otherwise you're just wandering this place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what time is dinner?
Before sunset, she said.
Before sunset. Okay. Then I know what time to arrive.
After sunset.
Precisely.
But like you can't just like walk out of the keep and leave. Like
I mean, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah. And that's what I was asking. How do I get out? How do I get back? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, do we want to? If you're in a hurry to go, Tessie can show you the way. What's Karash want to do?
I would see these tiny dragons.
Ah.
Okay. Then
Welcome to my hell.
yeah,
You get to deal with a split party
that's fine. No, that's fine. So Lena, we can leave you in your room, or you could join us over going to the aviary, and then.
If I know where my room is, I can always come back.
Okay.
From the aviary.
Okay.
As long as I just have it pointed out to me, that should be fine.
Yeah. And the servants can give you a good sense of that. You each have your individual chambers that are like twice the size of the hotel rooms in which you've been staying recently. Each of the rooms has a really nice big bed, looks very comfy, a fireplace. Seems like the place might be getting, like this area might get chilly. And the winter months, of course, it's still summer, but nice hearth, well-made furniture. Like these are all pretty damn nice individual rooms, and these are just rooms that sit here for guests and stuff. They're not even regularly used. And you each have an individual room at this point, so you can stay there if you want, or you can join them to the aviary, up to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the aviary first, and then I'll come back.
Isaac, are you going to go with us to the aviary, or should I just show you to the ground floor, to the elevator to get out?
Is the aviary in the castle?
It is.
Oh. Yeah, I'll go to the aviary with you guys. That's fine.
Okay.
Because
And
meditating,
then I'll go from there.
meditating shouldn't take too long. You typically do it as part of the trance, and I think the longer you can spend on it, the better. But at this point, you're close enough that the proximity should help.
Yeah.
So it might only take maybe a half hour or an hour to really hone in that sense this time, as opposed to when you were across the continent, where it would really have taken the full session there. Plus, you don't really need the trance for rest purposes at this point, so it really is more just about trying to center yourself and find that connection.
Yeah.
So you might be able to just kind of go to the aviary. You know, they can poke around and see what it looks like, and then by the time they're done, you might all be ready to set off.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys can put things down in the chamber if you wish, any of your belongings or not, either way. But you have the opportunity to do so, and then Tessian leads you kind of across to the other side of the keep, in the direction of the aviary, and you can head inside if you'd like, or you can run away screaming. I don't know.
Or I could run into the aviary
Run in screaming.
Dragons! Dragons! Yeah, no, I'll step in with everybody.
So yeah, I mean, I guess probably the only thing that's interesting is it's not. I mean, it probably makes sense in retrospect, but like, it's not up top. It's not an aviary that's like in the tallest tower. It's like kind of ground floor. It almost, and like when we enter the aviary, it kind of becomes obvious. It opens up out on the bottom a lot, the side and the bottom, like because it becomes very obvious that the keep itself is not on the ground. It is in the sky, and because of that, the bottom opens up into the open air, and there's all kinds of winged creatures in there. There's like bats, the little like sea drake looking things that look kind of like little pseudo dragons of a certain kind. I'm sure there's any number of other birds and other stuff. Tessian doesn't know everything that's in there. There are other people
List them all.
there are other people that tend to. They're
Give
not
them
Tessian,
names.
and he hasn't been there for a while. But yes, there are a number of creatures in there. I imagine some are in cages, some are not. Some of the little sea drakes look a little bit more well maintained and kept. They're often used, like you would probably see that there's like perches for them, and like those little cabinets that you would put like messages in, like, you know what I mean? It's like if you were trying to keep track of where things were going and stuff like that. So you can tell that they're used to deliver messages and such and such. So other than that, it's pretty much a kind of a semi-subterranean at points, kind of not at others place. It's got all kinds of creatures in it. Yeah.
And
That's super cool.
does Bubo take this opportunity to run around and unlock all the cages and tell his people to be free? Is that
Boobo!
Bubo is not here right now. He's in the ether.
He's sleeping.
But if you mention Bubo, Tessian would be like, "Oh yes," and then summon Bubo and tell Bubo to have fun. I guess he can go communicate with all the other creatures, and there's probably a couple owls in there.
Within seconds, Bubo is feasted upon.
Yeah. Condor swings by and just... Luckily, he only has 1 health, so he won't suffer for long.
Right, and he just like dissipates when he dies.
Yeah, he just goes like...
So like he's not a good meal.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out well. Go ahead and make a nature check with advantage.
Yes.
This is indeed a better setting than a musky room.
Yeah. Nature with advantage. A 20, not natural.
Not enough.
Damn.
What a
What?
disappointment.
Yeah. So Lena kind of takes some time to set up somewhere off to the side a bit where she's not going to have like animals and creatures flying over the top of her constantly, but still sort of in the area. And to get away from you guys so you can converse if you wish, and she can still have some quiet. Is there anything you guys are doing? This is going to take about 20-30 minutes.
I'm poking around at all these amazing little dragony things.
They do seem surprisingly, well, maybe not surprisingly, but like bold. Maybe because they interact with, people / humans / whatever regularly. Like at this point, they're not shy about other people kind of wander in. So some of them occasionally kind of land on you and then continue on their way. And
Aw, I love it. I will have definitely looked around at all of them before setting up. So
like they're really delicate when it comes to like Lena. And then with Karash, not to make the second Beauty and the Beast reference in the same session, but he gets like 6 or 7 on them at once, and you're kind of like,
I'm out. Too many Beauty and the Beast references.
I knew it. Nobody likes that movie.
This is when we arrive at dinner, and my mother's just like, "B,
Oh God!
And Karash
Isaac walks in with the walks out.
It's the Simpsons gif with Grandpa Simpson where he's going in the burlesque, takes his hat off, sees Bart, puts the hat on, and turns and leaves. I love that gif. Lena, as you center yourself, a couple things help. One is the proximity we already mentioned. At this point, you are vastly closer than you were before.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, even though being up in the air like this is a little unsettling at first because you've been pretty firmly on the ground throughout your life, and if anything, the sky itself was a mystery for a while. You've gotten used to that in your months of travel now, but for the most part, you don't even really see the sky peeking through the canopy of the Sowenwood. So the air is a little bit strange, but still, well, there's these creatures that are a lot like pseudo-dragons. It feels more natural to you. And as such, you find yourself able to shut out other distractions more easily. What becomes apparent to you is that your sense is definitely pulling you towards the cryptwood, but now that you're closer and with that result, it is beneath the cryptwood.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
A lot beneath the cryptwood.
Ooh.
Like you're close enough that you can tell. Like it's not just something in that general area, but like it's underground somehow or another. And from the sense you're getting with a pretty good roll on that, pretty deep, which might have something to do with why Tessian's mother warned you that it could be dangerous.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Figuring stuff out.
Tessian's taking this time to, like, at least to Karash, who seems to care, like explain, stuff about the little pseudo dragon looking things. He kind of has a moment of like, technically they're not pseudo dragons, and like Thea would be very mad if I didn't point this out. They're supposedly more related to wyverns, he guesses. He doesn't really understand all of the family trees, but it's something about the number of limbs they have or stuff like that, because they don't have like 4 limbs and then wings on the back. They've got like the big ones on the front that flap, and he's like, it's important for some reason, but he's not entirely sure all the reasons why. But Thea could explain it, he's sure. They're not quite as smart as full-blown pseudo-dragons, but they're more intelligent than a lot of the birds. So his family's been using them to deliver messages more reliably and stuff like that.
The best part of this is all I'm picking up on is the dragon part. It's like, yes, dragons. These are remarkable.
While this is perfect. So while you're explaining that to Karash, I want to go up casually to Lena. I'm assuming you're not mid like trance right now.
I don't. If this is before I go into it, maybe. Yeah.
I thought you went into it already.
Oh, am I
'Cause
in it
didn't
now?
you-
This is sort of happening
This is
while
happening
she's doing
kinda
it.
Oh, it's
concurrently.
currently.
She's meditating for like
It takes,
20 minutes.
It takes a few minutes.
Okay.
Sorry.
When you're done, I want to try to find you
Okay.
casually.
Casually, huh?
There's like 4 of us in this entire place. And you're like, I just want to casually, no one will notice.
He's like side saddling, sidling, not saddling, like a crab. Every time Tessie and Karash look at like one of the pseudo dragons passing by, he just sneaks over another step.
Tessian looks and I freeze.
Yeah.
Exactly.
His vision is based on movement. And so, as Tessian's explaining that, you're kind of half paying attention, Isaac, and then you notice Lena sort of stirring. Her eyes snap back open. She's screaming. No, I'm just kidding.
I guess I'll just go up and kind of be like, "What did you see?"
Well, I think I understand why Tessian's mother said it would be dangerous. Based on the feeling I get from here, it's deep underground. Beneath the
Wonderful.
Sowenwood. Or the Cryptwood, sorry. Cryptwood
It
is
can't
what I
be any worse than being in a volcano, so at least there's that. Hey, I can't advise you to not go to dinner. I understand there are certain political implications and diplomatic things that you have to consider, but just keep an eye out. Be careful.
Okay.
It might be nothing. I'm sure it is nothing, but I certainly don't trust these people, and we're kind of in the heart of darkness here, so just keep an eye out.
Okay. I nod and then just kind of fall quiet after that. Mull it over.
Hey, Karash and Tessian, Lena's awake, and she has good news.
Oh, what's that?
Well, it's like I told Isaac. It appears that the shrine is deep underground, beneath the Cryptwood, so it would make sense why your mother suspected it might be quite dangerous to get there.
Not good news, I see. Well, it is interesting. This region, the city itself, a lot of the tunnels run very deep. The Underdark is, well, it's not unfamiliar to us, at least in some portions of this region. I suppose it shouldn't be a surprise that even the Cryptwood itself has some rather deep places. Well, I'll admit, though, that will certainly complicate things. It's not a safe place. I suspect you're right, and that's exactly what my mother is going to share with us. But I guess we can't do much about that now, except wait for dinner and I suppose maybe plan accordingly. If we are to gather any sort of special materials and such, we should maybe keep that in mind.
Agreed.
But, yes, well, what next? Isaac, you wanted to travel down to the
Oh,
city?
yes, go see what the fabled stores of Black Harbor have to offer.
Sure. Yes, we have a sizable market down in Patron's Port, yes. Is there anything the rest of you wanted to do? Do you want to stay here? I assure you the keep's quite safe, but you're
I would
welcome
like
to join
tour
us.
the city.
I will go as well. We should not split the party.
It's very wise, Crash. Very
That's
wise.
very wise. A wise man once said, "Don't split the party." Well, then, yes. Well, gather what you need for the markets, and I'll show you where the way down is.
Sounds good.
Will we need to hire men to dig?
For the cryptwood, you mean?
Yes.
I certainly hope not. I will say, I mean, I think that the Conatus has been pretty good about there being a path. We simply have to find it. I suspect that there's a way down. We simply have to get there. I don't think it would be blocked so much as just dangerous. It's usually the journey, not, creating a door, so to speak.
Yes.
But I suppose you make a fair point, Crash, and I guess an extra pair of shovels maybe wouldn't hurt us on this little endeavor.
I can put them in the bag of holding, too.
What Mike
Just
is thinking
in case.
is he was being facetious and taking something literally,
Yes.
and now the party is grabbing shovels.
Mission accomplished.
Just so the viewer knows, I will interpret that face for you.
Yeah. Crash, not trying to be dumb, but always trying to look out for everybody.
Hmm
And we appreciate him so much.
He does understand shovels.
We had shovels. Pickaxes might be a different thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, you guys can bring along whatever you would like with you and make your way to this elevator, this
probably.
strange contraption of sorts.
Probably bring the bag of holding.
A lift, if you will. I don't know what you would
Do
call
you
it.
even lift?
Bro.
Like in a mine shaft, you got some cranks and some pulleys. I don't know what you call it. I call it an elevator. I guess that's what Tessian's calling it, because that's what I said he did.
It's your guys' keep. If you want to call it an elevator, you can call it an elevator.
It changes elevation, so we call it an elevator.
I had a dream last night where I was on an elevator that was way too fast, which is a recurring dream that I have. So I have to ask, how fast is this elevator?
The real question is, fast going up or down?
Both.
Interesting.
Now, going up is fine. Going down when it's too fast, I always have to hold on to the thing or I fly up and hit the ceiling. So is this a good elevator or is it too fast?
I would say it might even be too slow.
Okay. That's fine. Too slow is good.
I mean, they're not exactly working on with like electric motors here, so.
It's a rocket. Just-
Okay. Good.
So I think we're safe. Yeah.
Is it made out of glass? Is it a Wonkavator?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I picture it like, Kung Fu Panda. They have that whole like little elevator that goes all the way down to whoever the heck the bad guy is, whose name I'll not remember at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The tire in prison.
Yeah, in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the big elevator that goes from the
I
top
don't
to the
remember his
bottom.
name either, but yeah, that guy.
Because there's like a whole scene where like they're all throwing like spears at him or whatever. It's just
Oh,
like a little
yeah.
wooden elevator that goes up and down. It's pretty simple.
Cool.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Is it scenic as we're going down?
I mean, yeah, I suppose so. You'd get a pretty good view of the city.
Cool. Okay.
Isaac doesn't really like heights, so he's kind of not. He's looking at his feet. Isaac talks a big game, but has a lot of things he doesn't like.
Aw.
Isaac's like, yeah, whatever, I can handle all of it. It's just like shaking on the elevator going down.
Try not to vomit. It does give you a lovely view of the Urian Sea when you have the chance to look out. Of the Alteran Ocean. You can see the Cryptwood from certain angles.
Ooh. Okay.
It
Good to
looks
know.
like a whole bunch of trees from this high up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a sparse forest. Let's put it that way. It's densely populated with trees. And when you have the vantage point of being able to look east, you can see the Sowenwood off in the distance. It's
On fire.
it's not a speck on the horizon because the Sowenwood is quite large, but from this distance of 75, 80 miles away, you can still see it. You can make out even less detail of that, obviously, than the cryptwood, which is
Yeah.
right next to you. But you can see a familiar clumping of trees, and for that moment, you're like, "Oh, home is close."
I do fall quiet. I've probably been pretty excitedly pointing at things.
Yeah, because you're looking
And
around like,
then-
"Oh, look at that! I see the
Yeah.
ocean. What's the
Oh!
ocean? I'm a
And
princess I've
then-
never seen."
And
then
then
you,
I see my home, and then I don't say anything. I just
Mhm.
look at it for a little bit.